if you want to explore a creative thing, it doesn't have to make you money. Story time today.
I want to tell you the story of how I started to make headpieces and costumes for dancers and artists and get to see the work that I had made on stage.
Grab yourself a cup of tea and we're going to have a little chat about what happened. So I was working as a life coach and I had a client that was a dancer choreographer and she was setting up a production company and she just couldn't hit the edge. Like she just couldn't get her company over this sort of certain threshold. And she said to me, I need costumes. And she's like, I don't know where I'm going to get them from. And I was like, well, what do you need? And she was like, oh, showgirl costumes. And she said, oh, I don't know what I'm going to do. And I said, look, I'll help you. I'll make them for you. And she was like, what? And I'm like, I'll make them. And she said, what? How can you make them? And I said, I don't know. And at that point, I didn't even know what they were. And so I just started doing it. And I spent hours and hours. Now, this is back about, over 10 years ago when the internet was a different place. And there was not very much on the internet about how to make things. And I didn't even know what showgirl stuff was. And I started to look at it and I saw a lot of Kylie Minogue showgirl stuff. And I saw other showgirl stuff from Vegas, but there wasn't a lot else. And the only thing I could see on how to make it was a trans woman from Brazil speaking Portuguese, showing how to do stuff from Mardi Gras and making it out of cardboard and feathers and glue. And I was like, okay. And then I went and learned millinery skills just from talking to someone in the shop, and they talked to me about the different mediums and how to use them. And I went home and played with it and started to learn how to do millinery. So then I started to learn how to make headpieces. And it took me hours, probably maybe 200 hours all up, just to make the first lot. And my first lot of showgirl costumes went to Crown Casino in Melbourne, which is quite a big deal. And I saw my showgirl costumes walk into the casino, and I couldn't go in because I had my son who was underage at that point. But it was just the most magical thing to watch these showgirl costumes actually go into I always think of Vegas with showgirls, but there I was with my costumes going into the Crown Casino. And I kept it a hobby. I wanted to keep it a hobby because most of the things that I've done creatively become a business. And I do things creatively because it fills my soul. Like I love to be able to explore and know how to do things. And so this is one of the headpieces I made. And that's one of the headpieces I made at the back here as well. Not for that client. This is for a different person. And this is for one of my friends who is, she does South American dancing and is a teacher, and she'd put on a show again at Crown Casino. And this is one of the headpieces that the singer wore. And it was really fun to do. And I made these beautiful, see the feather flowers. And at the time I was just like, I wonder if I steam flowers and I do this and I do that, I can make flowers out of these feathers. And I could. So it was just a really interesting experience because I spent a lot of time making, and it was really fun to do. And then to go and watch on this, again, Crown Casino in the city, in Melbourne, it's one of the only places really that commercial dancers get to work. Like I know that there are other kinds of dancers like ballet dancers and contemporary dancers, and they perform everywhere else, but commercial dancers, a lot of commercial dancing is mostly at Crown Casino, and it's usually like, you're at Crown, it's quite a prestigious thing. So to have my stuff on Crown Casino and up on posters, it was just an amazing, surreal experience. And it came from me just exploring. So I guess what I want to say is that if you want to explore a creative thing, it doesn't have to make you money. Now, what's happened as a result of this? I have made quite a lot of costumes over the time, and I've always made sure that I'm not paid for it. I will ask for some money for materials, but I'm not paid for my time. And that's because I wanted to keep it a hobby, so that I had something that is just, it doesn't have the same pressure on it, and it stays in a love sort of bubble kind of thing. And that's why I wanted to do it. But what it actually did was it gave all of my other work an elevation, because my work was going into places like Crown Casino, or on, like I had one thing, I made a headpiece for a drag queen in Melbourne called Dolly Diamond, and she was in the Pride Parade here in Melbourne many years ago, and wore my piece. And of course, like, that's amazing too, because I get to not be known in my community. So it was just this, it's really been a wonderful tool to actually elevate the rest of my life. And when I started, I did it as just something because I wanted to try it, and also just out of kindness. And it's really enabled everything else in my life to elevate. And whenever I sort of want to have a bit of fun, I put on one of these, headpieces and walk around, or take it somewhere if I'm doing a speech or something and put it on because it's a bit of fun. It's just, and also like, they're just a really lovely thing to have around. I'm about to give all of my pieces away back to one of my friends who has this company, but just because, I need to not have it in my house anymore. But it's just, I just love them. And also too, I just think, if you want to do creativity, it doesn't mean that you have to make money out of it. I think we can kill, like, it's not that you can't be an artist and make money, you can, but I think that just being able to have your hand in making things without it having to lead to money, and it still have value, that's really really special, and I think it's really important. So I would like to encourage you guys to be creative. Like, what are you doing creatively to enjoy that's not about money? Like, just find your creative expression and do it, and really come into the handmade life. Join me with the handmade life. All right, see you in the next video.